Anthony, we get to sit again together, my friend.
Yes, nice to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You and I have been on a wonderful journey together. You're a little longer, but the Asensus TMG journey has always been a fun one for me in our relationship.
Likewise, I think we put the team together. The team keeps growing, doing good things every day. So really glad about the partnership and looking forward to more.
Yeah. And certainly we can jump into it. The headlines have been filled with the Asensus Storts activity going on, and there's almost only so much we can chat about today. But one of the things that I see as the narrative now in Medtech and surgical robotics, it's now starting to become more than the robot. And I'll ask your opinion on, do we need another robot or not? But you early on in said, while the robot's important, the precision in digital surgery is more important. And you made that public statement years ago.
Yeah, that's right. I think the more and more we tried to find ways for differentiation back in, I would say 2015, 2016 timeframe, we very quickly realized that it's got to be more than the robot in order to make a difference. And that's what drove us to make the pivot to a digital platform and augmented intelligence and machine learning in 2017. That led to the acquisition of MST in 2018, and that was the journey. And we've been on the market since 2018, 2019 with the digital platform. And I think it was the right decision, and it continues to be what I see everybody trying to follow. Which I think is a good start on our part.
Yeah. And the acquisition was really, at first people scratched their head about that MST acquisition, and Modi bringing over his great team and what you've built and declaring itself today as the ISU was ahead of its time.
Right.
And continue, I might say, is still the leading edge, even with everything else that's out there today.
Yeah, I would agree, because they had the base foundation when we acquired them and needed an amplifier, which we brought on board, which was building the actual ISU and also giving it the complementary robotic communication and the ability to talk to each other and have stable vision and things like that. So that really put it on a path for very rapid uptake and delight for customers and surgeons. And then that was also a roadmap which led to the cloud integration that came along soon after. Once we built the base, it took off. So I think it was a good team to start with, and teams almost grown 3-4 times from the time we acquired. And it's like I said, it's really been the right thing to do, and I continue to believe that is the future for surgery.
You get the potential, I know we still got work to do on the Storts Asensus sort of collaboration together, we'll call it that for now. But that introduction of that other side of the OR suite, the high fidelity, data-rich visualization platform, not just aligned with the robot, but at large. What potentially, whether it's Storts and Asensus or just the ecosystem at large, what does that start to introduce?
So I think the real value creator is the ability to integrate certain components of surgery and bring that data together and be able to harness insights that drive value. So when you think about the OR ecosystem, there's video, there's peripheral devices that are integral to surgery, but none of them talk to each other. And even if they talk to each other, it doesn't talk to a surgical platform in order to put all of that in the context of the surgeon and or the patient. So that's where the value comes in. I can't comment specifically on Storts, but in general, when you look at the OR ecosystem, being able to see the entire picture that happens in the OR, the patient, the surgeon, the OR team, room turnover, patients coming in and out of the OR, administration being able to see how the OR suite's performing. Now it starts to come together because I think even today there's only a partial picture that is being painted, and anybody has access to only a part of the story. But when you bring in a digital platform, a robotic platform, then a digital platform, and then tie it in with a OR, now you get to see the full picture, and it starts to add value from that point. So I think that's really what we see the future is. It's very well beyond the robot, but trying to leverage data, insights to help training, to help perform better surgery, reduce complications, reduce variability, and surgeon to go home in the evenings with peace of mind, knowing that the surgery was performed with the best technology and the best insights that are available.
It's interesting when the Intuitive had the D5 release just recently, there's been quite a bit of chatter about, in particular, the tower, and how that has potentially become a clear and present threat, maybe not a primary threat, but a secondary threat to the pure scope tower manufacturers. And while it might not replace it 100%, it certainly has triggered a path forward.
Right.
It's interesting to think that now that people are looking outside the robot as the added value in the OR. Do we really, we're here at a show with 40 robotic formats and a large number of them are soft tissue. Provocative question, do we really need another 3-arm, 4-arm robot in the ecosystem? What should else we be thinking about?
Yeah, and it's a really good question. I mean, we've always believed that the real need to solve is to say, how do we reduce variability, how do we improve patient outcome, and how do we help the surgeons perform better and better surgery. So I don't believe another robot is the answer. It's about what other value can you add beyond the robot. The value of a robot has already been proven. The market leader's done a great job establishing the category and also demonstrating what value it can add. So now trying to follow that and build another robot, in my opinion, is not the right thing to do. It's about saying, how do you create value to the patient and the hospital and the surgeon in a very different way. So that's where the data, insights, and the digital ecosystem comes into play, because that is the value creator. It's insights, it's knowledge, it's shortening training cycles, driving consistency. A robot can't do that.
Yeah, I think you said once that the robot only does what it's told to do.
Yep.
And how much advisement, intelligent advisement can you give it to do something?
Right.
You've been at this for a few years. You're the only other soft tissue robot cleared in the US right now, large format.
Yes. Yep.
We're starting to see a stratification of robotics as we have more contenders come in, because not every platform has to be pointed at that high acuity case, because that cost per case now is coming under examination. Do you forecast seeing more of a stratification of right robot, right place, right patient selection?
I think there will be a phase where that becomes a strategy, but at the same time, what's also happening is the cost of hardware platforms are going to reduce. So even though a footprint might be larger, that's not going to be equal to high cost. You'll still be able to achieve significantly lower procedure economics, even with a large footprint. But the perception is going to remain in the midterm to say that, okay, there is stratification, there is a need for a smaller footprint platform. But I think it'll be short-lived, and I think it will evolve relatively quickly to say, okay, if we can go with a large footprint product that does a lot more and the procedural economics are not different, why not go for that?
Yesterday on the panel, the investors panel, it was funny. I can't believe somebody on that panel said it. They made the argument that as the technology becomes more competitive, prices will go down.
Yeah.
Is that even a possibility in surgical robotics on the pace? Because that's assuming technology remains the same, yet we continue to push the more complex robots and the more complex capabilities, but that comes at a price of development, speed, power, processing power. Is it going to actually come down ever?
I mean, it's a loss of economics. It will happen, right? Competition drives innovation, and innovation will drive better solutions and also lower cost. And I think it's already it's happening, and it will continue to happen. And the data part is going to be a very eye-opening experience when hospitals and administrators actually have access to data that makes sense. They will start asking the question saying, is it worth the cost? And look for ways to find a lower cost solution, or put pressure on the provider to say, hey, these are the numbers, these are the statistics, this is what it is, and we don't believe that this cost is justified. But in the absence of data, you can't make that objective case, and with data, I think it's going to change, and it will have a positive impact to hospitals over time.
Well, the next couple months for you and for the Asensus team are going to be pretty dynamic.
Yes.
I'm really excited, probably for the back half of this year, to get you in that seat again,
Yeah.
and maybe dig in to see what's changed and what we have that we might be able to cut loose in other conversations for sure.
Yes. Would love to share more. It's a limit to what we can say right now, but would love to sit down with you again.
And I'm always a fan of yours because you always talk straight. You're a publicly traded company. Most of the others will talk in circles, but I really appreciate your insight that you've brought to this category over the last, I'd say, 8 years or so. So I appreciate that, Anthony.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for having me here. Thanks.
I'm Joe Mullings from SRS 2024. Be well.